Dr. Maurice Pitesky, and welcome to episode number 13 of the Sitch, a bi-monthly show from the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, Crawford Extension. So today's topic might make you a bit itchy. You're going to see some pictures of mites and fleas and chicken body louse. So if this type of thing makes you uncomfortable, I get it. Truth be told, bugs are not that bugs funny to me either. I snailed that one. But just think about the goal, which is to prevent and or treat creepy crawlers from getting all over your chickens. So first, the basics of ectoparasites, aka little bugs that hang out on your chicken's feathers and your chicken's skin. Ectoparasites are insects that live on the skin and feathers of chickens. Some live their entire horrible lives on the bird, while others commute between a hiding place like the nooks and crannies of a nest box during the day, and then brave the traffic to visit your chickens for a nighttime snack of skin and blood. The most common ones you're going to deal with are mites. So there are different types of mites, but for our purposes, we're just going to refer to them as mites. You can see them, but they are tiny, about 1 millimeter in length, so less than a 32nd of an inch. Look in the vent area underneath the wings, areas where chickens can't groom very well, and the lower legs for black or gray specks or tiny red kernels. They get red after they have their blood meal. During the day, they will hang out in the nooks and crannies of your coop also. Stick tight or poultry fleas, stick tight because they stick tight to your chickens. Look for small brown flea-like insects that attach themselves to the wattles and combs and around the eyes and eat a blood meal also. Your chickens will also be really itchy. Chicken body louse is the last one that's relatively common. Look for small yellow-brown critters under the wings that feed on the feathers. So before we talk about potential treatments, I want to discuss prevention, since prevention is always better and much less expensive than treatment. Typically, ectoparasites spread from chicken to chicken and coop to coop through direct contact with birds, people, or equipment that are carrying them. Therefore, make sure you have good biosecurity and don't let your chickens fraternize with the cool kids, aka wild birds and your neighbor's chickens. Just as important, make sure that your coops are really clean because litter and dirty coop materials can help facilitate reinfestation. Cleaning out litter can disrupt the life cycle of some ectoparasites, so also think about cleaning your litter periodically if necessary. Also think about coop maintenance. For example, filling in the cracks and crevices of your coop can disrupt those life cycle where a lot of those eggs might be. Make sure you take a look at your chicken's skin and feathers at least once a week to detect infestations early on. So if you have a small flock, you should look at each chicken individually. How do you do this? So you pick up your chicken, you gently part the feathers and closely examine the skin and feathers, especially in those areas that are difficult for chickens to groom, such as under the wing and around the vent. Continually check the coop and nest boxes in those corners and nooks and crannies, because you'll find a lot of eggs and mites potentially in those areas if you're having a bad infestation. Treatment, it's really important to identify what bugs you're dealing with because different treatments work for different bugs, but a few recommendations. For mites, diatomaceous earth, or DE, is really your best friend. When combined with sand in a ratio of 1 part DE to 4 parts sand, that kind of powdery mixture, if you put it into a kind of a plastic litter box and allow your chickens to dust bathe in it, that will ensure that the diatomaceous earth, that DE, gets all over the surface of the chicken and the feathers, and that will basically suffocate any kind of mites that are present. If you have fleas, depending on the number of birds you have, you can actually spot treat the adult fleas with a Q-tip dipped in permethrin, Vaseline, or mineral oil. None of the things that I've mentioned, the DE, the permethrin, the Vaseline, or mineral oil, have any withdrawal periods. That being said, there are drugs that do work, but remember, chickens are considered, no matter what you do with them, they're considered food animals. And therefore, we have to be very careful when we give them any types of drugs, because we want to make sure the residues of those drugs don't end up in our eggs or our meat that we might be consuming. Drugs like Frontline and even Sevin, which used to have a dosage formulated for birds, but no longer, to the best of my knowledge, have that dosage, don't have established withdrawal periods. So we don't know how long after we give those drugs we can actually start eating eggs and meat again. If you have any questions on this really important topic, with respect to medications, you can reach out to the Food Animal Residue Avoidance Databank, www.farad.org. They have great info and contact information. In summary, ectoparasites like mites have a rapid life cycle, so they can quickly become a nuisance to your flock and decrease productivity. So make sure you have good biosecurity and sanitation, and make sure you keep an eye on your birds continually to monitor them for these types of ectoparasites. I hope this is helpful, and as always, if you have other topics you'd like covered, feel free to reach out to me at drcook@ucdavis.edu. Thank you. Bye.